Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is leave. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might hear leave used is to mean to go away from somewhere or someplace. A frequent question in my home with my family is, when do we leave, right? So this idea of we have different activities, events, appointments, and we need to know at what time are we going to go away from our house to reach that particular activity, appointment, or meeting. A second way you might hear leave used is to mean to stop attending something. So sometimes people will use this when when they really mean they're quitting a job, they're leaving a job, or perhaps school would be another example of that. A third way to use the verb leave is to mean to pass something to another person, or you might also be giving them something in order for them to keep a particular object or thing safe. Sometimes we use this verb to talk about someone's plans for after they have passed away, after they have died, right? So they might leave their car to a child, a neighbor, someone else, right? So they are passing that object to another person. A fourth way we can use the verb leave is to mean to cause someone or something to be in a particular condition or state. My family and I watched a really funny TV show in the last few days, and to describe it in a message to someone else, I was telling them, oh, you should watch this. It left us rolling on the ground laughing, right? So that idea, it caused us to be in a particular state where we were laughing so very hard. You should know the verb leave is an irregular verb. To make the progressive form, we're going to drop the E and then add ing to form leaving. The past tense and participle forms are the same, but they have a spelling change. So we have L-E-F-T, right? And we pronounce that left. Okay, this is going to be different. You might think of, wait, I know that word from the direction, right? Left or right. But here, it's also the past tense and participle form of this verb. Now, the verb leave has a lot of additional meanings through phrasal verbs, and so that's what we're going to focus on today. The first phrasal verb you might hear is to leave alone. So this means, and I will say it's frequently used in the imperative. So we're giving a command to someone, and we're telling that person to not bother or not interfere with someone or something. Okay? Here is a phrase I bet many parents have said: leave your sister alone. Okay, so this is, again, an imperative, a command, right? We're telling one child to stop bothering the other child. Okay? With this leave alone, the person or the thing that you don't want to be bothered, that's going to come between the verb and the preposition. Okay? Another phrasal verb you might hear is leave behind. This can have a few different meanings. One would be to depart. So again, go away from someplace without bringing someone or bringing something along with you. So an example of this: did you leave your passport behind? Okay. This is an example of a yes or no question in the simple past tense, right? So we're asking, we're asking if someone left their house without bringing their passport. A second way to use leave behind is to mean to cause something to remain as a result or a consequence of something else. Let's look at an example of this. This is going to leave a scar behind. Okay, so imagine maybe someone has a really bad cut somewhere on their body, right? And maybe they need stitches. Perhaps the doctor is making this statement about a future thing that's going to happen, there is the consequence, a scar, right? A mark on our skin that is going to be the result of this particular injury. Another phrasal verb you might hear is leave. I have a third, leave behind. I was getting so excited. Let's go to our third, leave behind. This again might connect to that earlier definition where we talked about passing something to someone. So leave behind is a phrase you might hear commonly in an obituary, an article that recounts sort of the life story of someone who has passed away or who has died. So leave behind means that someone or something else has been outlived by other family members. Let's take a look at how you might hear it used. She left behind 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Okay, so in this sentence, we're describing that 2 children continue to live past the point in which this one woman died, as do 4 grandchildren, right? The next phrasal verb is to leave down. That means that we are allowing something to be in a lowered position, okay? An example here, I left the windows down in the car, right? Maybe that's good. Could be bad on a rainy day though, right? Because rain will get inside. The windows aren't up. The last phrasal verb on this page that we're going to look at is leave in. So this means we're allowing something in or within something else. An example of this. He left the key in the ignition while he ran into the convenience store. Okay, so the car key was in this particular place or within this thing. Okay, the last 2 sentences here, I left the windows down, he left the key in the ignition. These are both simple past tense examples. Now, let's take a look at some more phrasal verbs. The next one we're going to discuss, leave off, can have a couple different meanings. We'll talk about 2. The first would be to omit or exclude something. So you might think of this like to forget to include something. Maybe on purpose, maybe not. An example of this. I'm going to leave you off this email. Okay, so perhaps I'm talking with some coworkers about sending a message to someone else, and I say, oh, I'll include this person and this person, but I'm going to leave you off. So I'm not including you, I'm excluding you. I'm going to leave you off is an example of this simple future using be going to. A second way we can use leave off is to mean to stop doing something. An example of this. Where did we leave off yesterday? Right? Maybe you've heard your teachers ask this question sometimes, trying to kind of remember, where did we stop? Okay, and the implication with leave off is that you will restart or you'll begin again with whatever the topic or thing is. Where did we leave off is simple past tense. Leave on is our next phrasal verb. It means to continue wearing something. At least that's one way to use it. So an example of this, are you leaving your shoes on in the house, right? Here's present progressive or present continuous, right? We're talking about something happening right now. The person asking that question based on their tone, they might suggest something, right? My mom would say, are you leaving your shoes on, right? Because no, we take our shoes off so as not to make the house any dirtier. A second way you might hear leave on used, though, would be to keep something switched to an on position. An example of this might be, don't leave the lights on when you leave the room. So here we have 2 instances of our verb. The first, don't leave the lights on, is an example of a negative imperative. So we're giving a command telling someone not to do this particular action, right? So we don't want them switched on, right, when we go away from the room. The next phrasal verb we'll discuss is leave out. One way to use it is to mean to not include something. An example of this: you left out the references section. So maybe in a report or a paper, a teacher or supervisor is noticing this section was not included. A second way to use leave out is to mean to not put something in its right place or its proper place. An example of this: who left the milk out, right? The proper place for the milk, inside or in the refrigerator, right? So if it's on a table, on the counter, right, it's not in its proper place. The last phrasal verb we'll look at today is to leave with. Many times this is used to note that we're allowing somebody to take responsibility either for another person or for something. An example of this: we're leaving the kids with my parents for the weekend. Right? So this idea, right? Here, the grandparents or my parents are responsible for the children. Now, let's spend a moment looking at some words that are related to our verb of the day. The first word we're going to look at is just the noun form of this word. So, same spelling, same pronunciation. Many times when you hear leave used, we're referring to a period of time where someone has permission to be absent, really commonly used in connection to work. An example could be, he will be taking a leave to care for an ill family member. So he has permission to be away from work for some period of time. You might also, in connection to this, hear people talk about maternity leave, paternity leave, maternity leave for new moms, paternity leave, time away from work for new dads. Now, one last thing for us to talk about, and it's something that's come up with students in the past where they're like, wait a second, leave, can that also be another noun, like the thing outside on the tree, right? So leaves with an S is a noun, and it can be plural for the singular noun leaf, L-E-A-F. And when I use this word, I'm talking about kind of a flat structure that's attached to a plant and sort of attached to the stalk or somehow attached directly to a particular plant. So an example of how you might hear this noun in a sentence would be, we love hiking in the fall and looking at the beautiful leaves. Okay, so I've included a picture here to show you leaves come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And on certain types of trees, they change based on the season. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm sorry my voice is still not very strong. We'll see if it gets better. If not, look for some more videos next week, hopefully when I am a little healthier and have a much stronger and clearer voice. Have a great day.